The party had been winding down for an hour, but James was still slumped over the bar, mumbling half-finished jokes to anyone who would listen. Most of our coworkers had already left. I looked at him, tie loose, eyes glazed, glass in hand, and sighed. "Come on, man," I said, pulling his jacket off the stool. "Let's get you home." He blinked at me. "You're a good man, Evan," he slurred. "But I can walk." He couldn't. 5 minutes later, I was guiding him toward my car, his arms slung over my shoulder like a sack of wet laundry. The December air bit hard against our faces as I loaded him into the passenger seat. I didn't have to do this. He wasn't my best friend, just a coworker from accounting who occasionally shared bad jokes and better donuts. But something about the way everyone ignored him that night bothered me. It was easier to walk away than to care, and I couldn't do that. Not tonight. The drive was quiet except for his half-asleep muttering. When we reached his house, a small, warm-looking place tucked behind a row of maple trees. I knocked gently. The door opened and a woman stood there. She looked tired, the kind of tired that comes from carrying too much for too long. But her eyes softened when she saw her husband leaning on me. "Oh, thank God," she whispered. I was so worried. She helped me guide him inside, murmuring something about how he promised not to drink too much. I set him on the couch, grabbed a blanket from the armrest, and covered him. When I turned to leave, she stopped me. "Wait," she said quietly. "Thank you. You didn't have to bring him home." I shrugged. "It's nothing. Just wanted to make sure he was safe." Her eyes glistened. "It's not nothing," she said. "He's been struggling lately. You might have saved him from something worse tonight." That caught me off guard. "I'm sorry. I didn't realize." She shook her head. "You couldn't have. He lost his brother 2 months ago. Ever since then, he's been drowning himself in work and whiskey." The room felt heavy with silence. I looked at James, sleeping now, his face peaceful in the flickering light. "He talks about you, you know," she said softly. "Says you're one of the few people who still treat him like he's normal, not broken." I swallowed hard. "He's a good man. Just lost." She nodded, eyes wet. "Thank you for not giving up on him. Most people already have." Before I could reply, she walked to a small shelf near the fireplace. There were family photos. James with his brother, camping trips, Christmas mornings, laughter frozen in frames. She picked one up, looked at it for a moment, and whispered, "He needs people like you right now." Then she turned back and smiled. A small trembling smile filled with gratitude and exhaustion. "Can I offer you something? Coffee? Tea?" "Coffee sounds great." I said that we sat in the quiet living room as she poured 2 mugs. She talked a little about how life used to be lighter. How grief changes people. How love sometimes just means holding on until the storm passes. I didn't say much. I just listened. When I finally stood to leave, she walked me to the door. As I stepped out into the cold, she touched my arm gently and said, "You reminded me tonight that there's still kindness in this world. That's something I won't forget." The drive home felt different, calmer, lighter. Street lights shimmered on wet pavement, and for once, the city didn't feel so lonely. At a red light, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Thank you again." He woke up and asked how he got home. I told him a friend cared enough to bring him back safely. He smiled for the first time in weeks. I stared at the message for a long moment before typing back, "Glad he's okay. Tell him we've got work to do Monday together." That Monday, James walked into the office looking a little rough, but alive. When he saw me, he smiled. Not the usual forced office grin, but a real one. "Hey," he said quietly. "Thanks for the other night. My wife told me everything." I nodded. "Anytime, man." He hesitated, then added, "You made me realize I can't keep doing this. I'm getting help." And just like that, something shifted. A simple ride home had turned into something far more. An act of kindness that had pulled someone back from the edge. Weeks later, I got another text from his wife. "He's doing better. Started therapy. He says, you're the reason he's still fighting." I smiled at my phone, feeling that warmth you can't explain when a small gesture ripples farther than you'll ever see. In the end, she didn't thank me with words or gifts or grand gestures. She thanked me by reminding me that kindness, quiet, unseen kindness still matters. And that's something I'll never forget. Sometimes the smallest act of compassion can save a life. Never underestimate the power of showing up for someone who needs it, even if they never ask. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and subscribe to Kind Soul Stories. And also tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your story matters here.